and welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. My name is Steve Van Einstein. Thank y'all for joining me again tonight as we do today's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. This will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. As this will be the first time that I read it or hear it right here on this podcast with y'all. So I'm looking forward to it as we come to the final leg of June here. Oh, wow. Excuse me. Final leg of November. And I don't know where June came from. I have no idea. But the last couple of days we've been talking about justice. And I really love that topic. I really love reading about these things. And I love being reminded and taking the lens provided and looking at my life through it. Because it's another type of inventory I get to do. It's another type of perspective I get to take, right? And I get to learn from it, which that's always a blessing. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So I'm really interested to see what we come into today. So here we go. This is November 21st of James Allen's Daily Meditations. Having no knowledge of cause and effect, the moral sphere, men do not see the exacting process which is momentarily proceeding. Men blindly inflict suffering upon themselves, living in passion and resentment, not finding the true way of life. Hatred is met with hatred, passion with passion, strife with strife. The man who kills is himself killed. The thief who lives by depriving others is himself deprived. The beast that preys on others is hunted and killed. The accuser is accused. The condemner is condemned. The denouncer is persecuted. By this the slayer's knife doth stab himself, and the unjust judge has lost his own defender. The false tongue dooms its lie, the creeping thief and spoiler rob to render. Such is the law. Ignorance keeps alive hatred and strife. Wow, that's a really, really cool reading. I like the examples it gives, which is really the reinforcement of the law of reaping, right? You will reap what you sow. I thought that's pretty cool. So I was just having a conversation merely moments ago that goes right along with this reading. So I'll reference it when I get there. So let's go through this again. Here's the opening line. Having no knowledge of cause and effect in the moral sphere, men do not see the exacting process, which is momentarily proceeding. So we don't even see. He uses broad strokes, and sometimes I use those broad terms and inclusive terms. But I really am going to try to keep it on my experience for the most part. But I couldn't see the moral justice that was happening to me, that I was creating, that I was putting out in the world, and then what I ultimately received back, right? I could not see the exacting process, which is momentarily proceeding. I couldn't see how my actions and thoughts and intentions really did just be dealt back to me, just as I had been so carelessly dealing them out. I just didn't understand. Which now I look back on it, feel foolish because how could you not know? But as they say, you don't know what you don't know. And I've had to actually go through and do some work on forgiving myself for it and come to a appreciation and forgiveness of some of the stuff that's happened in my past. Because yeah, I just didn't understand what I was actually doing there, putting out into that world. So this is the main body of it right here. This reading: men blindly inflict suffering upon themselves. That's my initial instinct is men blindly inflict suffering upon other people, right? Which might be true, but I think it's just indicative. It's just kind of like, let's point the finger at everyone else. But, look how terrible I was. I did this to all these people, which might have some validity as to like, hey, you did some things that weren't that great, right? But doesn't mean you get to feel like you don't get to wallow in self pity about it. But that's not even what he said. He said, men blindly inflict suffering upon themselves, which is so true. It talks about selfishness and self centeredness in 12-step programs and how we just do this to ourselves. We hurt other people that hurt us back there, or we just put the selfishness and self-centered actions out into the world, and then we get our just rewards. Simple as that. But we just can't see it. Blindly inflict suffering upon themselves. We just think the world's unfair. The world's picking on us. I don't know why God hates me. That's what I would say all the time. Then I stopped believing in God. Then I would use it as like I would use those types of terms like, why does God hate me? Just as a mocking, actually. Pretty crass. So, men blindly inflict suffering upon themselves, living in passion and resentment. Yep, there it was. That was me. Emotions and hatred, anger, resentment, ill will towards the whole world, and not finding the true way of life, which is the spiritual path, which is this understanding, which is this way of living, which is a life of service to God and others. Hatred. Now, here's the comparisons. Hatred is met with hatred. I have experiences throughout my entire life that I can illustrate that with. Passion is met with passion, emotional states like anger, like heightened anger or sadness and depression, and letting yourself make decisions on that. It will be met with the same passionate, illogical, irrational decisions. Strife with strife. I want to look up strife. I feel like I need to remind myself of that one right now. Angry or bitter disagreement over fundamental issues, conflict. Oh, yeah. So conflict with conflict. No surprise there. All of these so far, I've had examples of in my life, even into sobriety, even relatively recently. The man who kills is himself killed. And this can mean spiritually, like, this can mean, like, metaphorically, your life is over, you're locked up, or, I mean, you can just die. Death penalties, um, retribution from others, whatever it may be. However it manifests, it will manifest. The man who kills is himself killed. The thief who lives by depriving others is himself deprived. And this goes along with the conversation I was having earlier that I referenced earlier. Um, I'm I am someone in recovery. I'm sober, which means I have not always done legal things. And should anyone Google me, I have an arrest record on online, the mugshot and stuff, and it was for stealing. So to read this right now, I do is depriving someone of their sense of security, safety, and what was taken from me, my sense of security, safety, control. It's pretty immediate, actually. Thief who lives by depriving others is himself deprived. That is accurate. That is true. We pay this, we receive our own sins handed right back to us. The beast that preys on others is hunted and killed because they invite those who hunt and kill with them. They invite people who prey upon people. You attract what you are. I believe that wholeheartedly today. The accuser is accused. The person going out and condemning everybody, right? Pointing finger. Oh, the condemner is condemned. Accuser is accused. The condemner is condemned. The denouncer is persecuted, right? So all these people that go around pointing fingers, that are judging and condemning, that are trying to place themselves above another, they will in turn be accused. They will be condemned. They will be persecuted because that's what they attract to themselves. That's what they constantly have around them. That's what they're putting out in the world. So no surprise that it comes back to them. It's just amazing we don't see it. And again, we're talking about justice in all these capacities. So let's keep that in the forefront. Now, this little poem, it looks like a poem in this book. By this, the slayer's knife doth stab himself. So, again, who kills is himself killed. The unjust judge has lost its own defender. Oh, man. The false tongue dooms its lie, the creeping thief. And spoiler, rob to render. I don't know what they mean by render. But all those things we have set up in our lives, right? Those little caveats or security blankets we put in our lives to protect ourselves from ourselves, really, they all will get pulled away. The judge has lost his own defender. The false tongue dooms its lie. The creeping thief, spoiler, and spoiler, rob to render. To give away, I think it says here. Yeah, so they'll get in like return. Actually, is what it says. Provide or give. Money serves as a reward for services rendered. So they received robbery, and the thief receives robbery. It's amazing how it works out, too. It's just such as. And it happens every time. That's the thing, every time. Just, in the last line, such is the law. Yes, that's it is. Will always be the law. It always has been the law. And it currently is the law. Which is fantastic. That amount of stability and resiliency of this spiritual living is so important to so many. It gives us guideposts to live life through. All right, this last line. I wonder if it's just a little foreshadowing what's going to come next. But I mean, we did talk about the opening line was having no knowledge. So we're blind to these things. We're blind to this cause and effect understanding, or that we reap what we sow, and we usually don't even know it. So this last line, ignorance keeps alive hatred and strife. It's true, because we feel wronged. We feel biased. We feel like our opinions are always correct. We are so self-centered, and we just think that's how it's supposed to be. And we think that's how everyone is, and it's not. So ignorance really does keep alive hatred and strife. And then we teach others how to do it. Then we pass it along to others. And then a toxic, painful worldview gets passed down. And someone else will have to, again, suffer through before they find that freedom. So, all right. Well, that'll be it for today. Thank y'all for jumping on with me again. I appreciate everyone that listened. And I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will be back again tomorrow. So, until next time, thanks.